The police chief's son sneered at Judge Caprio and said, "My dad controls this city. You can't touch me, old man." What happened next, when his father was forced to choose between shielding his son or standing up for a Vietnam veteran, would shatter everyone watching. Derek Cole, 32 years old, the son of Providence Police Chief Thomas Cole, entered the courtroom as if he owned it. An expensive suit, a designer watch, that smug grin that instantly made everyone despise him. Walking behind him was Marcus Richardson, one of Providence's priciest defense attorneys, the type who makes a living rescuing wealthy clients from consequences. If you believe in respecting our veterans and holding powerful people accountable, subscribe now. This channel stands for justice that treats everyone the same. 3 days earlier, 70-year-old Robert Martinez was walking his dog through Roger Williams Park when Derek Cole's BMW nearly struck him while speeding. When Martinez raised his hand to signal Derek to slow down, Derek slammed on the brakes, got out of the car, and shoved the elderly veteran to the ground. Martinez's head hit the pavement. 3 broken ribs. A fractured wrist. A concussion. 2 nights at Rhode Island Hospital. When bystanders tried to step in, Derek sneered, "Do you know who I am? My father is the police chief. Call the cops. I dare you." Then he drove off, leaving the 70-year-old veteran bleeding on the ground. The entire incident was caught on security camera. The footage exploded across local news. The city of Providence demanded justice. But what no one in that courtroom realized yet was that Police Chief Thomas Cole was seated in the back row wearing plain clothes, his badge hidden. He hadn't told his son he was there, and the choice he was about to make would prove that some fathers love their principles more than protecting their children's worst mistakes. The courtroom was overflowing. Local reporters, concerned citizens, veteran advocacy groups. Everyone felt that something important was about to unfold. At exactly 10:30 a.m., the bailiff called the case, the State of Rhode Island versus Derek Michael Cole, charged with assault and battery on an elderly person. Derek strolled forward like he owned the room. As he passed the row where Robert Martinez sat, wearing his Vietnam veteran cap and cradling his broken wrist in a cast, Derek didn't even look at him. No acknowledgement. No remorse. Nothing. Judge Caprio lifted his eyes from the paperwork. Those gentle eyes that had shown mercy to thousands suddenly turned icy. He had already reviewed the file, already watched the security footage, already decided this young man was about to learn a lesson. "Mr. Cole," Judge Caprio began, his tone calm but firm. "You are charged with assault and battery on an elderly person, specifically Mr. Robert Martinez, a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran. How do you plead?" Derek's attorney jumped up immediately. "Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty. We believe this is a case of mistaken identity." Judge Caprio raised his hand. "Counselor, I asked your client, not you. Mr. Cole, do you have a voice?" Derek stood. This is where his arrogance fully revealed itself. He adjusted his jacket, locked eyes with Judge Caprio, that smirk still plastered on his face. "Not guilty, Your Honor. This whole thing is ridiculous." The word ridiculous hung in the air like a slap. Imagine sitting there, hearing an assault on a veteran dismissed as ridiculous. You could feel the anger rising, the hunger for justice. Judge Caprio slowly removed his glasses, his unmistakable signal that reality was about to hit. "Ridiculous," he repeated. "Mr. Cole, I have reviewed the security footage. I have read the hospital records. I have seen photographs of Mr. Martinez's injuries. Would you like to reconsider calling this case ridiculous?" Derek glanced at his attorney, who desperately tried to signal him to stop. But Derek's ego wouldn't allow retreat. "With all due respect," Derek said, and everyone knew that phrase was about to be followed by pure disrespect, "this is being blown out of proportion. Some old guy got in my way. I barely touched him, and now I'm being dragged into court like a criminal." The courtroom gasped. Did he really just call a Vietnam veteran some old guy? Did he really claim he barely touched a man who spent 2 nights in the hospital? Judge Caprio carefully placed his glasses on the bench. His jaw tightened. This was the moment his compassion reached its limit, and justice prepared to speak. "Mr. Cole," the judge said, still calm, but carrying unmistakable authority. "Before we continue, I need to understand something. Do you know who Mr. Martinez is?" Derek shrugged. "Some guy who was in my way." The disrespect was overwhelming. Robert Martinez showed no outward reaction. He sat with the quiet dignity earned through decades of service and sacrifice. But the veterans seated around him were visibly furious. Listen closely to what happened next, because Judge Caprio was about to dismantle Derek's arrogance in the most devastating way possible. Judge Caprio stood and walked out from behind the bench. This was rare. When this happened, something serious was about to unfold. "Mr. Martinez," Judge Caprio said, looking directly at the elderly veteran. Would you please stand and tell Mr. Cole who you are? Robert Martinez slowly rose, steadying himself with his good arm. Your Honor, my name is Robert Martinez. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1968 to 1971. I completed 2 tours in Vietnam. I was awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star for valor. I'm a retired Providence firefighter. I've lived in this city for 50 years. He motioned toward Derek without even looking at him. And 3 days ago, this man assaulted me for no reason other than I asked him to slow down in a public park. The courtroom fell completely silent. Judge Caprio nodded respectfully to Martinez, who carefully sat back down. And now, Mr. Cole, do you understand what you just heard? You assaulted a decorated combat veteran. A man who risked his life for this country. A man who spent 30 years running into burning buildings to save strangers. And you dismissed him as some old guy who got in your way. Derek's smirk finally began to crack. But the arrogance hadn't disappeared yet. Your Honor, I didn't know he was a veteran. How was I supposed to know? Judge Caprio's reply was immediate and crushing. Mr. Cole, it should not matter whether he's a veteran or not. Assault is assault. But the fact that you attacked an elderly man and showed absolutely no remorse tells me everything I need to know about your character. You could feel the pressure rising, the confrontation building towards something explosive. Derek's lawyer tried to step in. Your Honor, my client, your client, Judge Caprio cut in sharply, just admitted in open court that he assaulted Mr. Martinez. The security footage confirms it. Multiple witnesses confirm it. The hospital records confirm it. The only question left is whether your client understands the seriousness of what he's done. Derek straightened, his voice turning defiant. Your Honor, I think we both know this case is going to disappear. My father is Police Chief Thomas Cole. He runs this town. One phone call, and this all goes away. The courtroom erupted. Gasps. Angry murmurs. Shock at the sheer audacity of threatening the court with his father's power. Then something no one expected happened. A voice from the back of the courtroom, strong, calm, and authoritative, cut through the chaos. No, it won't. Everyone turned. Police Chief Thomas Cole stood up, still dressed in civilian clothes, his face a mix of shame, anger, and unshakable resolve. Derek's face drained of color. Dad? What are you doing here? Chief Cole began walking down the aisle. Each step measured. Each step carrying the weight of 35 years of service. When he reached the front, he spoke directly to Judge Caprio. Your Honor, I'm Police Chief Thomas Cole, and I need to make something very clear. My son does not speak for me. He does not represent my department. And he will not use my position to escape justice. The silence that followed lasted 17 long seconds. You could hear people breathing, trying to process what they were witnessing, a father choosing justice over protecting his own child. Derek stammered, Dad, what are you doing? You're supposed to. I'm supposed to what? The chief snapped. Protect you from your own actions? Enable your behavior? Let you believe you're above the law because of who I am. He turned back to Judge Caprio. Your Honor, I've read the police report. I've seen the security footage. I visited Mr. Martinez in the hospital. His voice cracked. My son is guilty, and he needs to face the full consequences of what he's done. Your subscription literally determines whether stories like this reach people who need to see fathers choose integrity over protection. Hit subscribe and the notification bell right now. We're building an army for accountability. Derek's arrogance finally collapsed. Dad, please, you can't do this to me. Chief Cole's answer broke hearts across the courtroom. I'm not doing this to you, son. You did this to yourself. You assaulted a decorated veteran. You showed no remorse. You threatened to abuse my position. Every one of those choices was yours. He turned toward Robert Martinez. Mr. Martinez, I'm Thomas Cole, Derek's father. I want you to know I taught my son better than this. I raised him to respect elders, honor veterans, and understand that a badge represents responsibility, not privilege. He forgot those lessons, and that failure is partly mine. Martinez responded with remarkable grace. Chief Cole, you're not responsible for your adult son's decisions. Maybe not, the chief replied quietly, but I am responsible for making sure he faces them. Judge Caprio watched it all with deep respect. This was the moment that defined everything. Chief Cole, the judge said, what you're doing takes extraordinary courage. No, Your Honor, Chief Cole replied, what takes courage is what Mr. Martinez did, serving 2 tours in Vietnam, running into burning buildings for 30 years, and standing in this courtroom with dignity after what my son did to him. His voice broke completely. My son needs to learn what real courage and integrity look like. Derek was crying now, real tears. The arrogance completely gone. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Telling me won't fix this. Son, you need to tell Mr. Martinez. You need to own what you did, and you need to accept whatever punishment Judge Caprio decides. To imagine watching a father sacrifice everything to teach his son accountability, the pain, the love, the devastating choice between protection and principle. Judge Caprio addressed the courtroom. What you are witnessing is extraordinary. Chief Cole could have used his influence to make this disappear. Instead, he chose justice. He chose to honor Mr. Martinez. He chose to uphold the law he wore a badge to enforce for 35 years. That is what integrity looks like. Derek could barely speak through his tears. Your Honor, I was wrong about everything. I'm so sorry. That's the first honest thing you've said since you walked into this courtroom, Judge Caprio replied. But sorry isn't enough, Mr. Cole. Actions have consequences. He paused, allowing the weight of those words to settle over the room. Derek Michael Cole, I find you guilty of assault and battery on an elderly person. This is a serious offense, made even more serious by your complete lack of remorse when you first appeared before me. Derek lowered his head and nodded, accepting what was coming. Here is your sentence. You will serve 90 days in the Providence County Correctional Facility. You will complete 200 hours of community service, specifically working with elderly veterans at the VA hospital. You will attend anger management counseling for 1 year. And you will write a formal letter of apology to Mr. Martinez, to be read aloud in this courtroom, followed by a face-to-face meeting where you will apologize to him personally. Derek accepted each condition quietly. Yes, Your Honor, but I'm not finished, Judge Caprio continued. You will also record a video apology that will be posted on the Providence Police Department's official social media accounts. In that video, you will explain what you did, why it was wrong, and what you are doing to make amends. Your father has agreed to this, because sunshine is the best disinfectant for arrogance. The sentence was strict but intentional. Every part designed not only to punish, but to change. Chief Cole stood. Your Honor, I'd like to add something, if I may. Judge Caprio nodded. Derek will also be moving out of my house. He's 32 years old. He's been living under my roof, under my protection, under my name. That ends today. He needs to learn how to stand on his own and understand that privilege is earned, not inherited. Derek stared at his father, devastated. Dad, it's time, son, the chief said softly, his voice breaking. It's time for you to grow up. Judge Caprio then turned to Robert Martinez. Mr. Martinez, do you have anything you'd like to say? The 70-year-old veteran rose slowly. Your Honor, I don't want revenge. I just want this young man to understand that every person he meets deserves respect. Age, rank, position, none of that matters. We're all human beings trying to live our lives with dignity. If he learns that lesson, then this experience will have been worth it. The grace in his words silenced the courtroom. A man who had been assaulted, hospitalized, and humiliated offered forgiveness instead of anger. Mr. Cole, Judge Caprio said, you just heard a man you assaulted show you more grace than you deserve. I suggest you spend your time in custody thinking about that, and thinking about the kind of man you want to become. Court is adjourned. The gavel struck. AS officers stepped forward to take Derek into custody. Chief Cole approached his son. They stood face to face for a long moment. Then the chief did something that broke every heart in the room. He hugged his son tightly. I love you, he whispered, loud enough for those nearby to hear. But I love you enough to let you face this. You'll get through it. And when you do, you'll be better. You'll be the man I know you can be. Derek sobbed against his father's shoulder. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know, son. Now prove it. The officers led Derek away. Chief Cole stood there watching his son disappear through the courtroom doors, tears streaming down his face. This was real love, not protection from consequences, but support through them. Judge Caprio approached and extended his hand. The two men shook. You did the right thing, Judge Caprio said quietly. Chief Cole nodded. That doesn't make it hurt any less. No, the judge agreed. But it makes it worth it. 6 months later, Derek Cole walked out of the Providence County Correctional Facility a different man. He had lost weight, gained humility, and found purpose. His 200 hours at the VA hospital turned into continued volunteer work long after his sentence ended. He apologized to Robert Martinez in a meeting both men later described as healing. Martinez became a mentor to Derek, teaching him about service, sacrifice, and the true meaning of strength. Derek's video apology went viral, viewed more than 3 million times. Young people across the country saw what accountability looks like. They saw what happens when privilege meets justice. Chief Cole attended every one of Derek's anger management sessions, not because he had to, but because he wanted to support his son's genuine change. Their relationship, broken in that courtroom, slowly rebuilt on honesty and mutual respect, and Derek Cole, the arrogant man who once said, "My dad runs this town," now works as an advocate for veteran services, using his story to teach others about privilege, accountability, and redemption. You've just witnessed how one judge and one father changed everything by choosing justice over comfort. This is what happens when people in power refuse to protect wrongdoing simply because it's family. Subscribe to spread this vision of accountability. Like this video if you honor our veterans and respect the courage it takes to choose justice. Comment your city below. Share this with someone who needs to see that real love sometimes means letting people face the consequences they've earned. Judge Frank Caprio's decision didn't just deliver justice. It saved a life, healed a family, and proved that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to shield someone from the consequences they must face. That is the legacy of Judge Frank Caprio, that is the courage of Chief Thomas Cole, and that is the grace of Robert Martinez. Justice served. Lessons learned.